everyone. Welcome to the Veterinary Business Podcast, your ultimate resource for developing a successful veterinary practice and career. I'm Ryan Davies, veterinary marketing consultant and a digital marketing advisor with Echo Marketing, and I'm one of the co-hosts of the Veterinary Business Podcast. On this podcast, we bring you insights and expertise from industry-leading doctors, experts, and thought leaders from across the industry, covering a wide range of topics, including practice management, marketing strategies, leadership development, HR, AI, law, and so much more. And whether you're a practicing veterinarian, a practice owner, practice manager, or a student studying to join the veterinary game, this practice and this podcast is here tailored for you to help navigate the unique challenges and opportunities of the business of veterinary medicine. And every listener of this podcast is, of course, welcome to visit www.veterinarybusinessinstitute.com for additional resources and tools that will support your growth. And remember, you can always subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, YouTube Music, Spotify, really any of the popular podcast platforms. Today, I am very excited to talk with two wonderful ladies here to join me. Kimberly Weiner, founder of Fluffology, and Liz Hampton, a nationally certified master groomer and with over a decade of experience in vet hospitals as well, talking today about grooming in regards to health and business aspects for the veterinary industry. Kimberly, Liz, thank you both so much for joining me here today.
Hi, Ryan. Hi, Ryan. Thanks for having us.
I am so excited to talk about this one because I think this is just a wonderful topic, and two heads are always better than one, as they say. So I get to kind of pick two brains here and get a whole bunch of knowledge out for our listener base. Maybe we'll start, Kimberly, with you. Just to understand a little bit about Fluffology and what inspired you to start a pet grooming service, and tell us a little bit more about your journey that's led you to today.
Sure, would love to, Ryan. About 2.5 years ago, I got a standard poodle puppy. I was residing in Chicago and was ill-prepared, of course, for picking him up. Picked him up on a very snowy day in January, wrapped him in a blanket, and went into a big box store where I believe most new pet parents think about going, and was gravely disappointed. Asked basic questions like best food to feed Ezra, collar, leash, bowls, where are your crates? I was met with very little informative information, shrugged shoulders, and left without anything. And ultimately was able to go to a smaller owned pet store neighborhood in my neighborhood where I was able to get some of the basics for the puppy. But that led to nutrition. What do I feed him? I want him to live forever, as we all do. And so I want to begin on the right foot. That led to grooming. I live in a big city called Chicago, in the heart of Chicago, and was unable to find trustworthy grooming services that didn't have a wait of 3 to 4 months on their wait list. So eventually I, through a neighbor's, housekeeper's cousin's daughter, I get a telephone number, and I call because they're recommended, happened to be Oprah Winfrey's former grooming shop, and was made an appointment finally and expected to be, greeted with an amazing shop, an amazing store. It had been 30 years since I've had a dog, so I have not entered a pet store or grooming facility in that many years. And when I went in, it was lackluster. It was the exact same 30-year ago grooming shop. I think we all know what they look and sound and smell like. And I dropped Ezra off, and no questions asked, no paperwork. It was 8:30 in the morning, and they said, okay, we'll call you around 4:30 or 5. And I said, well, gosh, he's a puppy. He needs to be walked. I didn't pack snack. I mean, will you take him out? What takes so long? And, I realized that they take all the appointments early in the morning, like most grooming shops do. They stack appointments, they kennel. Sometimes they go out, sometimes they don't. So, he looked great, by the way, when I picked him up, but it got me thinking that as much as the pet industry has changed from grooming to accessories to training to veterinarian medicine, apparently the grooming industry has been left in the dark. And so that's how we got here. 3 years later in R&D, our first flagship store is opened here in North Hollywood, California. We just celebrated our first year anniversary, and we do things here at Fluffology very differently because it was time.
I love it. I think I always love a good origin story, right? That's every Hollywood movie, every great book, everything has that wonderful origin story. I think both for Ezra and then for Fluffology, what a great, dual story. Chicago's got to be my favorite city in there. I'm a Cubs fan. I've got all this stuff around me and everything else. If I could just go somewhere all the time, that's where I'd be going. So I know what it's like. Also, I live in Canada, and I can tell you what I know the snow feeling of that, wrapping in blankets and bringing a puppy home from all of that. I'd go a very similar story, right? And I think it's a very relatable story as well in terms of the walking in and getting the big box experience and treatment. And again, the employees there are your minimum or lowly paid, less educated in terms of what they're selling or what they're promoting, and lots of the shoulder shrugs and I can show you where aisle things are in, but this is something that is such an important part of pet care in the veterinary industry. And with that, maybe Liz, that would be a great transition for somebody who is a nationally certified master groomer and has worked in vet hospitals for, again, a decade plus. Tell us a little bit about, understanding the grooming industry better from that veterinary side and the importance of that.
Absolutely. I will tell you that I have a unique perspective. I definitely understand what it's like to see it from both sides, because I've been in both sides. I was the vet receptionist, I was the vet assistant, then I switched over to grooming, and I groomed inside vet hospitals alongside with veterinarians. And now I'm sure you see the industry's changed a lot to where a lot of veterinarians are adding grooming as a part of their business because it is something that's really important. And I think we don't underestimate as groomers how valuable veterinarians are and how much respect they deserve because of what they do. And I think one of the biggest disconnects from the grooming industry and the veterinary industry is that we need to collaborate more. We need to be on the same team because we have the same goals, right? Our goals is to do the very best we can for the pets, for the pet parents. We want them to live their best lives. We want to help them, right? None of us got into it because we didn't like animals. So we definitely need to work together more. There's definitely, me being in it 30 years, I can tell you, there's a lot of blaming that goes on between veterinarians and groomers, where the groomer thinks the vet should do this and the vet thinks the groomer should do that. And I think that there's definitely room for improvement between the two industries to be able to collaborate and work together in a more positive direction that really helps each other out. And we definitely want to be a part of that movement to make it better for everybody, because everybody wins in that scenario, right?
Yeah. I love that. I think that's a great, again, a great comparison contrast, but the alignment that is and needs to be there, right? And I think, Kimberly, you touched on this earlier as this is part of that strategy. Is it shouldn't be a divided thing where grooming is in one area and veterinary medicine is another, because grooming pets is such an important part from a health perspective. So from your experience, Kimberly, and what you've been doing, how do you communicate, and what should veterinarians, do you feel, should know more about this aspect of pet care and the importance of grooming for, the animals they treat, if not bring it into their practice?
Yeah, so at Fluffology, doing things differently in 2024 and going forward, we are all trained. I'm not a groomer myself, but we have a staff of groomers that we call Fluffologists. And they have all been trained by Liz. And when I say trained, I mean thoroughly trained for about a year And it begins with the anatomy of the dog, coat and skin, possible new developments from appointment to appointment, which is why once you pick a stylist here at Fluffology, you have that stylist forever. It's like your hairstylist. It's not like, oh, you were with Leo last time, we're going to put you with Daniel this time. We advocate for our stylists to create relationships with the pet parents, just like your pediatrician. And we touch every dog from head to tail. And sometimes we will find a bump or a lump, right? Or we will find some kind of flaky skin condition that wasn't at their last appointment. And being highly trained, and they've all been with me since we've opened, so we have very little turnover because of our culture here. They're an involved part of our mission, which is the health and wellness and longevity of our pets. So we have told pet parents in instances where we have found another lump or a bump. One of my own dogs that gets groomed here regularly had a new growth, and my stylist said, hey, I just want to bring this to your attention. So that communication between veterinarians and groomers, so that both the grooming industry and the veterinarian industry respect each other's importance. It's kind of like the old doctors and nurses adage. The doctors get all of, the highlights and the nurses get all the grunt work. Well, we're here to tell you that we work as hard to be able to understand our pets and what they need. And not only that, but anxiety levels. We address anxiety here during the grooming process. I mean, let's be honest. Not every dog loves what we do to them. It is it's necessary. But at Fluffology, we've created private suites, and they're glass fronted for transparency, but they are very calming inside the suite. So most equipment is actually hidden, and we have soft tubs so that the water isn't harshly hitting stainless steel, because some dogs just freak out. Other dogs are fine with it, but we are fully booked today. You won't hear any barking dogs. And we hear all the time that my dog hated grooming. And now they come in, we give them treats. They're at ease. They're not nervous. And it makes for a better process. The dog's not anxious. There's no fear of a stylist getting hurt. And the process is just one of, much more willingness and acceptance to being treated for a groom and a bath that day. And that's important for veterinarians to understand that that's what we're trying to fulfill, which, I think we're doing a great job.
I think you probably have a lot of veterinarians who are very appreciative of the fact that when the dog leaves and ends up somewhere unfamiliar now, they know that, hey, like you said, that reduced anxiety. I have a pointer who is turning 15 at the end of August, which is crazy.
Wow.
The most anxious thing, she doesn't do well with anything. Now she's in her older age. She's slowed down, right? Yeah. But one of the things that really rang true for us was she was a nightmare for us to cut her nails, nightmare to do a bath at home, nightmare for any of this stuff. Taking her somewhere, though, and removing us from the equation really helped with her anxiety, because we drop her off to do nails or anything else, or their coat, whatever it is. And they're like, she's fine. Like, she's a little jittery, but she's okay, right? So, like, I know, doubling down here, Kimberly, with you on this, and maybe Liz, you want to jump in. Do you find that that's a lot of the case too with pets is, and one of the benefits of taking to a groomer and things like that is you're removing the owner from the conversation and from the situation. I think it's my anxiety half the time that sets her off. So, like, do you find that that's the case, that like a big benefit that helped both you and veterinarians from this perspective?
Oh, absolutely. And see, having worked in both and knowing, obviously, every dog walks into the vet and freaks out and doesn't want to be there. Same with the grooming shop. And so we do a lot of, and I think it's something that the veterinarians should do too, and I know they do, is you've got to use some psychology there as well. You've got to explain to mom and dad how important it is that we know how bonded they are to their dog, and we know how their dog is going to respond to their feelings. So they really have to get a hold of their feelings and trust. And if they don't trust, they need to find a place they do trust, because it's going to help their dog be more comfortable with the process. And like Kimberly said already, our goal is that we create consistency for them. And that we know dogs are creatures of habit. They really thrive with that routine. And so having the same stylist in the same suite that does the same table routine every single time really reduces the anxiety as well. Same as the vets. And we tell people all the time, we recommend all the time, pop into the store, get your dog some treats and have a positive experience. If your dog doesn't like going to the vet, and I know the vets recommend this as well, and it really makes a difference, pop into the veterinary hospital, put them on the scale, give them a cookie, let the staff love on them for a second, and then leave. And they're not always going to anticipate that it's going to be some big traumatic experience or it's going to be a big process, but it really helps ease the anxiety. And it's all about that communication with the owner of just getting them to trust you. We struggle with it. I know the vets don't struggle as much, but we definitely see a positive results with dogs coming in and just being happy to be here. And it works for the vets too. It absolutely does. I worked in vet hospitals for years. I knew what it was like to have some dogs running into the vet hospital. I'm happy to be there because owners took our advice and brought them in and had positive experiences. It's not always poking.
I love that. That's amazing. And Kimberly also talked about this before, about one of the major benefits of grooming. It happened with my dog. She passed last year, but we took her. She was a big German Shepherd, Kelpie, Rottie, Heinz 57, everything kind of a dog, but took her for her grooming. And after our appointment was when they said, did you know when you touch her here, she's a little more sensitive? And it was an area like inside her leg where I was like, I'm never touching it. And it ended up being like a joint issue with her knee, and that's leading into her hip. And it kind of started the hip dysplasia issue. But we got in front of it when she was 8 instead of 12. So she lived to be 14 for a big dog. So she did a great job with that, right? Yeah. Some of the other benefits, or maybe the misconceptions that you've heard before, that really can help a vet owner understand, again, the benefits of either bringing into their practice or partnering with somebody like yourself to really help grow this aspect and provide let's call it a more holistic or a more complete part of the healthcare of the animal. Anything you can kind of draw help to kind of shed a little more light, more stories, more examples, that would be great.
Well, we consider Fluffology a 360 degree sort of wellness center, right? And so, it's our hope that in the future, and veterinarian businesses and practices, I see some moving in a direction of, memberships and more personal, consistent care. I happen to have a dog that's ill right now, and I've been waiting 2 days for his neurologist to call me back from a well-known animal hospital here in town. So it makes me think, well, maybe I should be a member of a veterinarian practice that's kind of promising more one-on-one personal immediate attention. It's kind of like calling your own doctor, right? But it's our hope that between veterinarian medicine and nutrition, because nutrition there's so many conflicting opinions about pet diets that I can't, it's just like our own diets, right? All the diets, intermittent fasting, keto, don't eat vegetables, no, do eat vegetables, meat. There's so many different diets for humans. Coffee's good for you. No, it's not. Eggs are good. No, they're bad. So it's the same in the pet industry. And, there's a lot of food manufacturers that are sort of trying to jump in and give their opinion. And while veterinary medicine is, of course, stringently regulated, grooming isn't, and nutrition is just beginning to get regulated, right? So it's our hope that between nutrition and veterinarian medication and ancillary important services like grooming, all find a way to communicate real information, more factual information than trends, right? Or opinions, because opinions about everything in the pet industry are everywhere, and they can be frustrating to new pet parents. They can be frustrating to pet parents who have a special needs dog or a rescue dog or a puppy. And so here we're just trying to work within our industry to create a place of trust, with knowledgeable staff, no shoulder shrugging, with a staff that's happy to be here, to be able to provide the most relevant, transparent pet information, from grooming to veterinary medicate to vets, recommending vets for certain issues, to nutrition, which is a tough one.
Yeah, nutrition. I started laughing right away because both of my dogs, again, they're older. One just turned 15. One's about to turn 15. They both have the heart failure going on right now. And of course, it was after years of research of, okay, I'm giving them this exact diet. It's grain-free and all this stuff. Our vet comes to us and says, who told you that? You can't do a total grain-free diet. It's terrible for heart failure. And I'm like,
Exactly.
How much money was I spending on this diet? Tiptoeing, and they're like, no, you should have done this raw food diet and this and that. I'm like, oh my goodness, like I would do anything, right? Obviously, and now whatever. But it's exactly that, right? It's so confusing, and if you don't know, you've got to be an expert. With that, I'm going to start with Liz on this one, but Kimberly, you're probably going to chime in at the end of this. For groomers, for veterinarians that are looking to bring this in or partner with somebody like yourself, tell me about the importance of credentialing and showcasing authority and expertise in this area. Because again, like you said, there's imposters in this space. There are people who, I know there are, right? There are people who do it because I'm an expert because I like dogs. Well, it doesn't make you an expert, right? And how do you, again, you're a master groomer certified. Tell us about the importance of that and how, again, just what that lends from a credential standpoint, expertise standpoint, and being able to attract new pet parents as a standpoint from that side of things.
Right. I really think the world is changing, right? Pet parents are getting more and more educated and knowledgeable, and they're expecting more of us. And I think they should. I think they deserve to get the very best that is out there, that is available, right? So historically in the grooming industry, we are apprenticed by somebody. We start washing dogs, we start drying dogs, and then we learn our way up the ladder. Or you go to a grooming school, a trade school. And if you go to a trade school, you're going to get this much education in a really short period of time. If the public really understood how unregulated we were, they would be furious. Like it's shocking to most people when they learn that you tomorrow, Ryan, could go open up a store and call yourself a groomer. You absolutely can. Yeah. Anybody can do it. And even though we inherently believe that no one in the right mind would do that without learning and really developing the skill, that's not true. Lots of them do it. Mm-hmm. I mean, people find that there's money to be made or they just want to do it and decide that they can. And there's a whole lot of misinformation out there with the fact that now there's so much free resourcing out there with YouTube and all of the packed full information out there that you're right. There's a lot of people out there that maybe are giving misinformation. So there really are only, in the grooming industry, there are only 3 certifying bodies nationally. That's it. In the United States, that's all there is. And if you do not get certified by those voluntarily, you are technically, you might have a certificate from a grooming school. That's it. But traditional grooming schools, if you go to any of the box stores, you're lucky to get 6 to 8 weeks of computer training. Then they put you out on the floor. Like, that's why you get such different levels of knowledge and experience and confidence and inability and lack of knowledge. It's really unfair to the groomers, but it's totally unfair to the public. Like that they don't get a standard. And several of the states are working together to try to change that and get ahead of legislation so that we can try to help the industry get more credentialed, because it lends having credibility of saying, I went and proved to a national or international body that I know not only structure and anatomy and muscles, and I understand how skin works, how the coat works, what the shed cycle's like. I understand body language and behavior so I can be safe. Those are vital. I mean, you can't regulate style, right? We can't do that. You can say there's breed profiles and specific pattern lines, sure, but it's an art. It really, really is. And it's subjective. So ultimately, the only thing you really could credential and really count on is those scientific based facts, right? Skin works like this, coat works like that. This is how their body structure and how they should stand, and you shouldn't take them out of a natural position because you can harm them. All of those things can be regulated, right? We can teach everybody the same way, the same things, because it's all the same. Those are the things that I think are really vital that every pet parent should make sure that they're looking for and researching, and veterinarians should absolutely be aligning themselves with educated, credentialed groomers that have proven that this is a career for them. It's not just a job for them. It lends them, it really, really shows, it's a way to prove it. Does it mean they're perfect? No. Does it mean that accidents aren't going to happen? Of course not. We're working on live little wiggly beings that can't speak English. So it's tricky. But when you've really taken the time and the energy to, on your own, you have to do a lot of research. You have to do a lot of practicing. You have to do a lot of testing. It isn't cheap. It's not easy. But if you really want to do it, it's absolutely attainable. And there's plenty of groomers that do it, and it's growing, and I'm so happy, and we are definitely part of that. We want every groomer that works for Fluffology in any of our locations to be certified, credentialed, because not only for the fact that, I know I'm running on, sorry, but not only for the fact that they have the credential and they have the actual experience, but it also builds confidence for them. And what happens when you're confident when you're working with animals? You're calm. And then the animal feels that. And now the whole process is safer, right? So it's no different with your technicians and your veterinarians. They have to be confident in how they handle. And if they aren't, the animals know it and they respond in kind. And we want it to be as safe as possible. So we really here at Fluffology are taking it super seriously and really want to make sure that the vets know that there are lots and lots and lots of groomers out there that really take this seriously. Find them, align yourself with them, refer your clients to them, go do your homework, meet them yourself so that you can have somebody in your back pocket that you go, hey, you know a lot about this stuff. We do a lot of continuing education and really I have certificate. I couldn't even tell you how many certifications I have because I want to know. I want to be able to offer the very best that I can. And most of us really do. So instead of not trusting us, we want you to trust us. But because there's so much bad mixed in with the good, it's really important that the pet parents and the veterinarians make sure they're doing their homework. Just because somebody's done it a long time doesn't mean they've done it right or that they know everything, because it just isn't true. We all have to continue to grow in this industry because it's ever evolving with the more we learn, right? But we love it. And we hope that our clients love it too. Like everybody's loving it. The vets that refer to us are super happy because dogs that were having massive issues, because we do one-on-one appointments, we don't do high volumes. So they take the time. Our dryers are all done by hand. So we see every square inch of the dog. So those bumps that your groomer found, or the vet, honestly, I could tell you the stories of when I was in the vet hospitals working as a groomer, and I'd go, what's happening with this growth that last month it wasn't there? And they went, what growth? I said, they just came from an exam from you. And they went, where? Show me. Oh, I missed it. And I said, yeah, you're going to, right? You see it all. Yeah. But the way we dry and the way that we bathe, we see every square inch and we notice everything. And we're an asset to the vets. Right. Because as soon as we notice something, we're going to tell mom and dad, and we're going to tell them, go see your veterinarian, go get it checked out. We want to save their lives. And many stories you'll hear over the years of groomers saving dogs' lives because they noticed a change. Or like you said, that a soreness, they act different behavior because we get to know them and we love them and we build a relationship. So
yeah, I love that. I think it's just a phenomenal, again, it's a value add from a veterinarian practice owner side too, when they refer to somebody that then that pet owner comes back and says, they caught something or they were so wonderful. And now I'm back to see you to treat it or to confirm what happened or to dig deeper, right? it just creates that symbiotic relationship, not just from a pet care and, an aesthetics perspective and everything else, but from the overall health and well-being, and from a veterinary practice owner, they get to look at that as wow, okay, so whether it's in-house or third party where they're referring out, it just comes back to them as a satisfied pet parent, and, you've got better relationships all around. And as we're closing off here, and I told you not to watch the clock because I was going to ask a lot of questions, and we've gone way over, and that's totally great, and I love it. And thank you for sticking with me past the time I promised. But as we're closing out here, Liz, you just mentioned about, the future of the industry, the changing of the trends. And at the very start, Kimberly, you brought that up as well, of immediately when you started talking about that walking in, and you said the sight, and before you even got to smell, the first thing was, it literally, my nose twinged, because I was like, I know what that is. I know what this, she's going to say smell. You can almost, what it's going to be, right? You've got this memory, but you've, like you said, you're taking this in a different direction. Grooming is moving and should be moving in a different direction in terms of both the, just how important it is, the respect given to it, the due time and diligence and money and everything that's given to it from that perspective. But I guess maybe for both of you, how do you see the future and the industry changing? What have you noticed, and where are you seeing it going next? So I'll let you decide who goes first on this one, but I'd love to get both of your takes on it, because I think you'll both have two great unique perspectives from a practice and a business owner founder perspective and a practitioner perspective.
Right. Okay. So, we hear so often about, pet parents that say, we love the way you do things. We love the transparency. We love that we can sit in the shop and walk past our dog being bathed. And we didn't know that was even an option, because we drop them off at a desk, and all the grooming, processes are going on behind closed doors. A lot of pet parents, their thinking today is their pets are family. They take them on vacation. They let them sleep on in bed. They're on our sofas. They go everywhere with us. The last thing people want to do is drop their dog off, anywhere behind a closed door for 8 or 6 hours. So we also talk to our pet parents, what do you want to do today? When you go to get your hair cut or colored, you sit in your chair and the stylist says, hey, what are we doing today? He just doesn't do what he thinks or she thinks, they should do to your head, right? So we say, okay, you want to leave it longer? What are you doing this summer? Are you going on hikes? Are you going to be traveling in the car? It's going to be a hot one. Here's what we suggest. And we always hear, oh my gosh, we've never had a conversation with any of our groomers longer than 2 seconds. So great. Yeah. If you can leave your legs longer and take his body down. So it's options. I think that we want to move our industry and educate pet parents that they have real options, and that they're important options to make for a family member. And we are really going out of our way to provide that unparalleled service, one-on-one, trust Fluff, stay if you'd like, come back for your doggy. And I think that that's the direction: education, options, and transparent relative information from grooming. Yeah. That's really, I'd like to see it go in that direction.
And for me, I totally agree with what Kimberly said. I really see and have seen, because I've been in the industry for 30 years, it's changed a lot over those years. And it's super exciting to watch the growth from the professional standpoint and see groomers go from being totally looked down upon, and you would mutter under your breath that you were a dog groomer because it wasn't something you were proud of because people looked down on it, to now being incredibly proud and saying, hey, this is what I do for a living and I absolutely love it. But our goal is to help the industry grow in the future that we see, which is really knowledgeable, confident stylists that know that they're not just making a choice because the owner said, yeah, I want it this way or that way. They know scientifically what is the best product to be using and why. They understand coat and how it works so they can work and manipulate it in a safe, healthy way. They know how to educate their owners and communicate with them so they can give them their best options. We do it all day long, but I really see the industry moving in that way of now the experience is, we say all the time, it's the experience that the pet parent and the pet deserve. They should have always been getting this experience of that real connection of somebody sincerely caring about their experience. And that can be simply from what it smells like to what it looks like to also how they feel about it. And we want every single pet, cat or dog, to come in and be happy when they leave. And we want every parent to be happy as well. So I see that trend in our industry that pet parents are demanding more from us, and I think they should. I think they deserve it. And even in the veterinary side, we see it all the time now where, you know, they used to dread taking their dog to the vet or to the groomer. And now groomers and veterinarians have really upped their game on making it a really welcoming, inviting space. And they're definitely taking it at a different pace, which is so awesome. I think it's fantastic. When I had a vet in my area that literally had a fireplace and would have a little kiosk for coffee, and they were so nice and you just felt so welcome there and your dog just loved it. And I said, that I think that's the trajectory, is people really being happy to go to their vets and go to their groomers and really enjoy the fact that we all care so much and we really are in it for the right reasons. And that's to do the best we can for them.
I love it. When you were describing what you do and you were going through it, the first thing that came to mind was like, okay, this is like a high-end boutique type of a thing. But as you've talked through the last half an hour, you've said that this needs to be more of the industry standard and that right now it's seen as this next echelon, next level, but this is how it needs and should be. And this is the expectation for moving forward. So I love that this is sort of that, you're not doing it to create some new area, but doing it to be like, this is where the bar needs to be from a grooming perspective and from this area of pet health. So I absolutely adore what you're doing. I love this last half hour and how you've described and how you broke it down. And just, again, that parallel to if you're a veterinary practice owner and you're bringing this in-house, this is what you need to be able to do to be successful. If you are looking for somebody like Fluffology to partner with and to refer your pet parents to, this is what you should be looking for and why it's so important. So, Kimberly, Liz, I thank you so much for joining us today and talking to us about grooming in regards to the health and business aspects of the veterinary industry. I think this was something where I came into it expecting something totally different from where we ended up. So even for me, this was something that just
all the time, Ryan.
So much in terms of, okay, yeah, this is what the reality should be. And I absolutely love it. So I greatly personally appreciate you being here, the whole team and all of our listeners. We appreciate you very much for spending your time with us today. Thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
We appreciate it.
Wonderful. And I also want to take a moment to thank all of our listeners as well. We appreciate each and every one of you, and you know that we can't do what we do without you. So if you like our podcast, please kindly share it with your colleagues and friends on social media. Don't forget to leave us a positive review as well on your favorite podcast platform. It's those reviews that are going to help us bring other doctors, practice owners, and experts like Kimberly and Liz forward to soak up all of their wonderful knowledge and share it with you today. So until next time, keep striving for excellence, make a positive impact in the life of your patients and pet parents. And I'm wishing everyone an amazing week ahead. Thanks, everybody, and take care.